Hello my dear sewing friends, it's Alisa here with Thoughtful Creativity, and you and we are continuing to chat about tips for better sewing. And today I wanted to share with you a technique or a principle, if you want to call it that way, that I've been using for a while now. And the beauty of this principle is that you can apply to anything in life. It doesn't have to be sewing only. And as I said, I've been using it for a while. It really helps me better my sewing skills and also to sew more efficiently, which in my life matters a lot. So in this video, I wanted to share with you what it works really great for and what to be aware of when you're using this technique or principle. So without any further ado, let's jump right into it. And as you have already gathered, we're talking about batch sewing today in this video. So I've been using batch sewing for a while now. If you remember my batch sewing mask video, and then I've been batch sewing clothes for my baby girl for, since she was born, really. And when you apply batch sewing technique or principle at home, it really is very simple. So what you do is you complete each of the steps in sections. So you do the cutting part for all three projects at the same time. Then you do the basting part for all three projects at the same time. Then you do the sewing part. You get the idea, right? So it's really easy, really straightforward. And if you think about it, this kind of principle has been applied in factories and in mass production, for years and years and years now. And when it comes to sewing at home, it's great for a variety of reasons. So reason number one, it saves you time and it saves you money. There is a big but that is, hidden underneath this really great opportunity that batch sewing delivers. However, let's talk about the positives first. So if you have been on a journey of making your own clothes, and let's say you do have a goal in mind that you want majority of your clothes in your wardrobe to be handmade, then batch sewing really is an answer to quite a few struggles that you might encounter on your journey. And one of them is, as I mentioned, is money and time. So if you take a look at your wardrobe, majority of the pieces that you wear are probably going to be basics that you will be pairing with some more brighter pieces or some more extravagant pieces or pieces that are more unique. But the base of your wardrobe are those basics that you wear every day. Your basic white shirt, your camisole, your tank top, your t-shirt, your long sleeve shirt, and you name it. And everyone will have those different basics depending on their lifestyle. However, if you choose to batch sew those basics, number one, you're using the same pattern. So you're not buying, 25 different patterns, which might result, in a quite a hefty sum of money that you will be giving out for those patterns. So you're using one pattern, which also improves your sewing skills, by the way. And then, of course, it saves time because you are doing them all in one sitting, so to speak, right? You're cutting them all at once, you're sewing them all at once, and you will be done in no time, a lot faster if you would be completing each one of the projects separately. And just to give you a really hands-on example, I've just completed a batch of raglan sweatshirts for my baby girl, and I'm actually using a free sewing pattern, so I'm not even spending any money on the pattern here in this case. And I've been sewing 5 raglan sweatshirts at the same time, and I've been cutting them all at the same time, sewing them all at the same time. I'm using my serger, so it goes extra quick. And of course, it saves tremendous amount of time. However, I also think that when you start thinking about batch sewing, it puts you kind of on the path of thought of, okay, I do like the silhouette, it fits me really well, so maybe I should make 3 of these tops and replace some of the other unflattering pieces in my wardrobe with these 3 tops of the silhouette that I really, really like. So I think it puts you on the path of more effective sewing and just more organized lifestyle altogether, because as I said, this principle you can apply to anything. It doesn't have to be sewing just to begin with. Now, batch sewing also solidifies your sewing knowledge, and it's exactly the same thing that we chatted about a couple of months ago when I said that using the same pattern about 3 times will improve your sewing skills tremendously. And this is exactly the same thing. You're using the same pattern a couple of times, and that will solidify this new technique that you'll learn, or this new skill in sewing that you'll learn, or anything else. And you know how it is when you first do this new thing and you're scared and you're like, oh, I don't know if it's gonna work out, like if it's a buttonhole, or if it's the first time installing a zipper, or if it's the first time making spaghetti straps, or you name it. But once you do it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, you're like, huh, easy. So that's what I'm talking about. So once you do this in batch sewing, you will already know that you know how to do this, and next time that you are faced with this project, or you have an idea, or inspiration hits you and you're like, oh, I want to do this, you're not going to be afraid to try this new technique because you have already solidified your sewing knowledge. Obviously, everybody is different, but these are the 3 areas where batch sewing absolutely saves my life, if I may say so. So one of them is holiday gift sewing, and I'm not sure if you guys noticed or not, I do a lot of holiday sewing every year, and gift giving is my love language. So when that holiday time comes around every year, I do a lot of sewing, and batch sewing definitely helps me to make sure that everybody who's on my list to receive a handmade gift from me definitely gets that handmade gift, yet I'm not losing my sanity when I'm doing that. You know what I mean? So it definitely helps me with that. Number 2, if you are sewing for charity or donations, or if you are sewing for sale, that's when batch sewing really comes in play, and it helps tremendously. And number 3, when I'm sewing basics for myself or for my daughter. And as you saw, I made her 5 regular sweatshirts. When I need, you know, long sleeve t-shirts or regular t-shirts or sweatpants for home, I apply the same principle of batch sewing, and it definitely saves me a lot of time. Now, this is where you need to be wary of batch sewing. Number 1, if you do decide to batch sew, test the pattern first. Don't open the pattern envelope or print out the PDF, put it together, and then cut out 5 projects without testing your pattern first. It's the worst thing that could happen, because you never know if the sizing is right, if the fit is right, if you like the style, and whatever else can go wrong or maybe not so right with an actual sewing pattern. So definitely do a test garment first before you commit to batch sewing multiple of this design. Now here's another thing. You know how sometimes people get on this circle of multitasking and then they multitask for the sake of multitasking? Well, with batch sewing, it can kind of get you in the same corner, really. So do not sew more for the sake of batch sewing. If you really need just one piece of this one garment, make it just one piece of that one garment. Do not make more for the sake of making more for the sake of batch sewing. It kind of depletes the whole purpose of sewing for yourself and creating a wardrobe that really speaks to you. So, definitely, apply your best judgment and best sense, and do not overdo it just for the sake of batch sewing alone. Now listen, we are creative people. I know you are creative, I am creative. We sew, we ought to be creative, right? Now when we talk about batch sewing, it's a little bit harder to be creative with every single piece when you make them all at once. Now that's the reason why I say that batch sewing really helps me when it comes to sewing basics like t-shirts, long sleeve shirts, basic pants, or this or that. But when you want that one-of-a-kind piece that has this unique element and this unique element and a whole bunch of really interesting techniques, then it's really hard to batch sew these kind of pieces. So I find that if I really want to have fun with a piece, then batch sewing really is not a solution for making it. So this one is a very dangerous one, and here I want to tell you that you know yourself better than anybody else out there. So if you know that starting a project for you is really fun, but then seeing this project through and getting it done is a little bit of a different story, then maybe starting 5 projects at the same time isn't the best solution for you. So, as I said, everybody is different. It might work for me, it might not work for you. Giving a thought to batch sewing definitely is a useful thing, but you do you, whatever works for you. I definitely don't want you to start 5 projects and then them pile up in a quarter of the unfinished garments. That would be a waste of time, a waste of fabric, and just a huge disappointment altogether. So definitely do what works for you. And until next time, happy sewing. I'm so glad that you were here, guys, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.